I know that quite a few of you guys have been waiting for this one for a very long time. Apologies, my dudes. I've had a lot going on. But we're finally back with Kirby lore. Today, we're going to be learning about Meta Knight. We do know a bit about him from the other videos that we covered, but we didn't really do a deep dive on him, so excited to get back into some Kirby lore today. But of course, before we get into the reaction, make sure to go support the OG video. Link to that is at the very top of the description, as always. Meta Knight has always been so cool.
The Kirby franchise is one of my all-time favorite video game franchises. It's the kind of series that looks simple, because quite honestly it is. But that doesn't mean it's bad. The fact that Kirby games are so easy to pick up and play is what makes them so enjoyable. Now, Kirby games may be simple to play, but that doesn't mean there isn't a lot of depth to be found within the world, lore, and even characters.
That seems to be the common trend that we've experienced for all of the series that we've covered. Well, I can't really say all. Some of the more recent ones, like, for instance, Sonic. On the outside, it looks quite simple, but when you look at the inner workings, it becomes so expansive. And it's really fascinating to see how all of these characters and storylines have evolved over time. Like, in the case of Kirby, I was really surprised at how in-depth they went with King Dedede as a character. I thought he was just generic bad guy, but he's so much more. And Kirby lore goes kinda hard.
I've seen many videos about Kirby's surprisingly deep lore, but regarding the characters, it's just assumed that Kirby and his friends are basic but lovable. Kirby is a cute, happy-go-lucky hero. Dedede is a selfish monarch with a heart of gold, and Meta Knight is a mysterious swordsman. It seems pretty cut and dry, but is there more to these characters under the surface? I would argue probably. For these videos, I'm going to take a look at the three main Kirby characters throughout each of the main series Kirby games. I'm only looking at the main games because some spin-offs like Kirby Battle Royale and Kirby's Avalanche have questionable characterization to say the least, and I think the main series gives me more than enough material to work with. Throughout these games, I'm going to be looking at each character's powers, abilities, desires, likes, dislikes, personality, pretty much anything I can find to create the most fleshed out version of each of these characters. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at my personal favorite of the three main Kirby characters, Meta Knight. I didn't just pick him first because he's my favorite. He's actually in less games than Kirby and Dedede, and he's much more vocal in games like Kirby Superstar, so he should be the easiest character to tackle for this kind of video.
Except
we'll see. Meta Knight first appeared in Kirby's Adventure, the second Kirby game released in 1993 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. He appears as an antagonist working under Dedede, being the boss of World 6. Even before that, he appears throughout various levels to impede Kirby's progress with his group of soldiers called the Meta Knights, spelt with a hyphen so it's only mildly confusing, or help with an invincibility candy.
Very creative back in the day, weren't we? But that was just how it was, right? Like, we had these concepts, we had these positions that we need to fill, so we made these characters in order to achieve that, but then we thought, hey, there's so much more we could do with this. But it's always cool to go back and see like the roots of these video games and characters and what was built upon. Of
course, with this being a platformer on the NES, not much is conveyed in the way of story or why Meta Knight is on Dedede's side to begin with. The intro states Dedede gave pieces of the Star Rod to his friends, but whether Meta Knight has history with Dedede or was simply hired for his fighting skill and army is up for debate. Despite Kirby's Adventure being very limited in its presentation, there are actually a few things we can deduce about Meta Knight through his brief appearances. Meta Knight is very mysterious. We know he works for Dedede, but he still helps Kirby throughout the game by giving him items, and you could make the argument that putting him up against the Meta Knights is to train Kirby for the impending fight with Nightmare, but that's just speculation. What we do know is that Meta Knight is an honorable warrior, offering Kirby a sword before his boss battle to make the fight a true test of skill, and while it's never outright stated, it's heavily implied that he's the same species as Kirby.
Considering his shape and form, I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen a lot of theories in the comments under our Kirby reactions, and from what I can gather, and just from observation, he does seem to be like an adult version of what Kirby is. So to just like spit out some potential headcanon here, maybe he came here in order to oversee Kirby's growth, to make sure that Kirby was strong enough to protect the galaxy, or at the very least defend the people that he wants to defend, and be there to assist whenever things get a little too tough. Power scaling wise though, Kirby is really damn strong. I don't know if Meta Knight is as strong or stronger, and it's just a case of we've never actually seen him go all out, but I can see this being a potential explanation.
Otherwise, Meta Knight is completely shrouded in mystery. Thankfully, it doesn't take much longer to learn about Meta Knight. As in 1996's Kirby Superstar for the Super Nintendo, Meta Knight gets an entire game mode to himself. Samurai Kirby.
Draw.
The Revenge of Meta Knight is Meta Knight's first starring role in the franchise, and it's an interesting one. Kirby's adventure kept Meta Knight's motives ambiguous, but there is nothing ambiguous here. Revenge of Meta Knight's story involves Meta Knight and his army invading Dreamland with a battleship. What? Taking him from 0 to 100 there, Mr.
This was... He went to war with Dreamland because everybody was so lazy, right? I think that was the reasoning behind it. But this also feeds into the theory of him doing all of this in order to prove something, or to test people, to make sure that they're ready for an actual threat.
Mr. Knight, 3 years ago you were feeding me candy, now you're conquering Dreamland? Meta Knight is a full-on villain in Kirby Superstar, bent on ruling Dreamland to abolish its lazy lifestyle. And given who the ruler of Dreamland is, it makes the DDD hired Meta Knight theory a lot more plausible than the DDD and Meta Knight are friends theory. Because friends don't do this to each other. Or maybe they do, I don't have much experience on the subject. But what I do know...
Oh no, Silvery. I don't know, it could be in the case of like, bro, you gotta get your shit together. Here, I'll help you by being the villain for you so you can get your ass off of that seat. Maybe? Maybe I'm giving Meta Knight a little too much credit here.
Is that this is easily Meta Knight at his most antagonistic. Even though he still offers Kirby his sword before his final battle, Meta Knight is fully intent on killing Kirby if it means his takeover is a success. Now I know it seems like murdering Kirby is a point of no return in terms of Meta Knight's morality, but Revenge of Meta Knight does show Meta Knight's more positive attributes, most apparent being his leadership. Meta Knight is shown to be incredibly strong under pressure, ensuring his crew to stay calm and devise a plan when Kirby first boards the Halberd, and quickly coming up with solutions as his ship literally falls apart. He's also shown to really care for his crew, something that's contrasted very well with his second-in-command, Captain Vol. Captain Vol only appears as part of the Meta Knights in this game, and for good reason, because he's a big jerk. He's rude to his crew, ends up destroying just as much of the Halberd as Kirby does when he unleashes the Heavy Lobster, and evacuates the ship as soon as it starts going down. Why Meta Knight works with this guy is beyond even me. Maybe Captain Vol's father saved Meta Knight in a war, so it's pure nepotism. I don't care. All I care about is how great of a foil he is to Meta Knight. Meta Knight tells his crew to evacuate, but they respect him too much to leave without giving another run at Kirby. Something that touches Meta Knight. Meta Knight isn't solely respected for being a powerful fighter. He's respected for his authority and honor. But on the subject of Meta Knight being a powerful fighter, Meta Knight has definitely gotten a lot stronger since Kirby's adventure. This is the first appearance of two of Meta Knight's signature attacks, the Mach Tornado, and to my knowledge this attack doesn't have a name, but he plunges his sword into the ground to create a massive tornado. Not only are his fighting skills improved, but he also now has a full battleship in his arsenal, so that's something to take into consideration. And this is the first game where Meta Knight shows off his wings, which I can only assume were added just to make his design even cooler. So that's Meta Knight.
Oh yeah. In the previous game that we were shown, he did have a cape, right? But it wasn't wings. Also, do we ever get an answer as to where he got this battleship from? Does he just have it? Do we have any lore explanation for its existence?
In Kirby Superstar, which has been one of his biggest roles to date. I know there was a lot to talk about with that one, but luckily for me it gets easier from here. Meta Knight's next appearance is in Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland, which is a full remake of Kirby's adventure. So there isn't anything new in the game itself, but the intro has changed slightly. This time it says DDD gave the Star Rod pieces to his underlings, which proves that Meta Knight is just working for DDD, and unfortunately it's very unlikely that they've ever gone on any weekend fishing trips together. Another thing of note is the extra mode Meta Nightmare, where you play through the game as fast as you can as Meta Knight. It's a fun side mode, and thankfully it's non-canon, so I don't have to try to explain this. Lastly, and this is a weird change that I don't understand, but Meta Knight no longer gives invincibility candy to Kirby throughout the adventure. The invincibility candy is just plopped in the level for Kirby to grab. What this means for Meta Knight's relationship with Kirby is unclear since this is a remake, but it's still something that confused me during my 4 playthroughs of these 2 games this week. Kirby and the Amazing...
Maybe it's a scenario where he doesn't appear and then gives it to you. He just places them randomly for you to find. I don't know. Or we could be trying to evolve his lore here a bit. Change his place within the universe. Give that menial job to somebody else, you know?
Amazing Mirror, the first Kirby game I played, released for the Game Boy Advance in 2004, and it's the first Kirby game not to feature DDD. Since the game's setting is Mirror World, it makes sense that DDD doesn't care about intervening with foreign affairs. It's actually Meta Knight who rushes to save Mirror World, with Amazing Mirror portraying him as an unambiguous hero. Nobody in Dreamland is even aware of Mirror World's plight, which shows Meta Knight's heightened vigilance compared to the others. The only reason Kirby gets involved is because he gets attacked by Dark Meta Knight and split into 4. Yep, we have a dark counterpart for a character who's already pretty hardcore compared to literally everyone else in the series. Dark Meta Knight has no chivalry, no heroic qualities, and he's absolutely ruthless. Not only does he beat Meta Knight and seal him in the dimensional mirror, but he shatters the mirror and assumes Meta Knight's identity afterwards. I'd say that's dark for a Kirby game, but honestly this isn't anything new by this point.
Yeah.
You might think that DDD's exclusion wouldn't be too significant, but it actually shows a better look at Kirby and Meta Knight's relationship outside of Meta Knight working for DDD or being a conquering murderer. After Kirby defeats Dark Meta Knight and gets sucked deeper into the dimensional mirror, Meta Knight throws his sword to Kirby to help him. If you know anything about any swordsman from any form of media, it's that
they will never throw away their weapon. That is the one way to lose a battle. I wonder if Meta Knight's sword has a name. Because if it does, then even more so, they would never just do that.
Their sword is one of, if not their most valued possession. Meta Knight couldn't defeat Dark Meta Knight, so he likely doesn't stand a chance against Dark Mind. But he has such faith and trust in Kirby that he lets him use his iconic sword. Following a very noble depiction, Meta Knight's next appearance is in Kirby Squeak Squad, released in 2006 for the Nintendo DS. And this is kind of a weird one. Meta Knight doesn't actually show up until the end of World 6, and the plot of Squeak Squad is kind of stupid, so much so that the end of the game has to spell it out for you because it doesn't make any sense. So a band of thieves called the Squeaks steal a treasure chest from DDD that contains Dark Nebula, the, and I swear I'm reading this correctly, ruler of the underworld. But Meta Knight steals it from them before they can open it because he, quote, knew the secret of the chest. This follows the same characterization from Amazing Mirror of being a hyper-vigilant, mysterious hero. But how did he know Dark Nebula was in the chest? Why didn't he just tell Kirby instead of fighting him? Why do the Squeaks even want the chest containing Dark Nebula? Why does DDD have a chest containing, and I cannot stress this enough, the ruler of the underworld in his castle? In hindsight, maybe I should have just skipped this one and moved right to Kirby Superstar Ultra, released for the DS in 2008, is of course a remake of Kirby Superstar.
We'll never know.
As such, Meta Knight retains his role from Revenge of Meta Knight, and this is a game we can just skip over, right? How naive one could be, because Kirby Superstar Ultra is incredibly important to Meta Knight's character. Just like the last Kirby remake, this game features a Meta Nightmare side mode, and just like the original, it's about racing through every level as quickly as possible. The reason this mode is so important is because at the end of Milky Way Wishes, Meta Knight meets Nova and gets one wish granted. And so,
what is his
Meta Knight
wish?
Wishes to fight the greatest warrior in the galaxy.
Ah, yeah, there
All
it
of
is.
Meta Knight's actions,
Yes.
teaming up with DDD to try to stop
The
Nightmare,
butterfly.
trying to conquer Dreamland, trying to protect Mirror World from Dark Mind and Kirby from Dark Nebula. All of this is done in the ambition of power. The very core of Meta Knight's character and what he wants is based on power, and to be recognized as the most powerful warrior in the galaxy, something that can only be proven by defeating Galactonite, a fighter so powerful he was sealed in a crystal prison for millennia. By defeating Galactonite, Meta Knight has canonically become the greatest warrior in the galaxy, a fitting end to what can very loosely be described as a character arc. I mean, if the side mode was canon at least, but we're not done yet. It'd be a pretty bad video if it ended when my point was made. Besides, Meta Knight still appears in 4 more games. Kirby's Epic Yarn released for the Wii in 2010, and Meta Knight is certainly in this game. He has no characterization whatsoever and is thrown into the last world even more hastily than in Squeak Squad. Moving on to Kirby's Return to Dreamland, released for the Wii in 2011, Meta Knight is unfortunately again lacking character. Return to Dreamland has a simple story, and Meta Knight only exists in it as a multiplayer character, so his appearance in cutscenes is just part of the group with Kirby, DDD, and Bandana D. He fares slightly better than the others while riding on Landia, but the only thing we can deduce about Meta Knight in this game is that he enjoys relaxing with a good book. Kirby Planet Robobot was released for the 3DS in 2016, and appropriately Meta Knight is the first to notice the Haltman Works invasion, which he appropriately tries to stop with the halberd, and that appropriately leads to the halberd getting destroyed again.
Oh.
Through the boss description of Mecha Knight, we can learn that Meta Knight fought the Haltman Works army single-handedly before being defeated and made into the cyborg Mecha Knight. After his defeat, he's reworked into a stronger cyborg called Mecha Knight Plus, and once he's defeated in this form, Meta Knight is freed from Haltman Works' control and allows Kirby to use the halberd to defeat the Star Dream, Haltman Works' supercomputer bent on destroying all organic life. Once Kirby defeats the...
When Kirby pilots it, it becomes entirely pink? Did we just give it a quick paint job?
Star Dream and crashes back towards Popstar unconscious, it's heavily implied Meta Knight saved him and placed him back on the fields of Dreamland, showing his more caring side towards Kirby.
Yeah.
This game also features a Meta...
Which is why I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's more of a guardian, parental sort of role. Like watching Kirby from afar. I don't know, I feel like it just fits his character a lot.
Meta Nightmare mode, which doesn't reveal too much new about Meta Knight, rather a bit more about Galactonite and what Meta Knight's triumph over Galactonite would imply. At the end of the mode, the Star Dream summons genetic clones of Dark Matter Blade and Queen Sectonia to test Meta Knight's strength, and when he defeats them both, it opens an interdimensional rift through time and space to summon Galactonite. Its speech leading up to the fight reveals Galactonite has destroyed multiple planets, and within seconds of being brought back, Galactonite destroys the supercomputer capable of opening portals that can exceed the fabric of time and space itself in a single slash. This is the Psycho that Meta Knight would have to defeat to become the strongest warrior in the galaxy, and it further exemplifies just how powerful Meta Knight wants to be. The latest mainline Kirby game released at the time of this video is Kirby Star Allies, released for the Nintendo Switch in 2018, and sadly Meta Knight's role is a combination between his Planet Robobot and Return to Dreamland roles. He's defeated and brainwashed off-screen by the new invaders of Dreamland, and after being defeated he becomes just another playable character for multiplayer. Even all of his new abilities shown in the boss battle don't count because he's clearly being powered up by the Jamba Heart. It's disappointing that we have to end this analysis on a low note, but it's fitting given how disappointing Star Allies was. Plus, I can guarantee I'll talk a lot more about this game when we get to another character. So, what have we learned today?
Unfortunately, not a whole lot, it seems. This video is kind of old, so we don't get anything from Forgotten Land, I think, is the latest game. But I guess this is where you guys can come in and supplement a lot of the missing information. My theory, I've been saying the entire video, so let me know what you guys think.
Meta Knight is a character driven by a desire to be as strong as possible. Whether he can achieve that goal through a full-scale conquest or by saving the world, a lot of what he does is for the pursuit to be more powerful. After his brief stint as a villain, he's become a watchful defender of Dreamland on his own terms. In such a lighthearted series, he's played surprisingly seriously no matter which side he's on. Meta Knight has proven time and time again to be determined, caring, intelligent, respectful, and an incredible leader who is just as skilled with a blade as he is at building a battleship. And yet, despite everything we know about him, Meta Knight still remains mostly shrouded in mystery. Why?
I actually kind of like that, though. There is something to be said about expanding the lore of every single thing within your universe. But not gonna lie, there have been moments where I wished a particular character or a particular concept was never fully explained. I think it's sort of hard to pull off in some ways because it can lead to confusion and potential Deus Ex Machinas happening within your story because there wasn't any proper foreshadowing that this could occur. But given the position Meta Knight is in within the story, I think having him remain mysterious to us for the rest of the series is honestly fine. Unless if we're already cooking a major plot twist pertaining to Meta Knight that is still yet to be revealed all these years later. Just like we did with Galactonite and the whole butterfly thing. But regardless if we never get that, I still think Meta Knight's character is cool. And he fills in a great role within the series that we kind of need. Like the serious one. The one who plays it straight. With Kirby being the one who embodies love and friendship, and King DDD being the bad guy who gets changed by Kirby. Everybody has a reason to be there, you know? Heck, even Marx is there to be a little shit, and we all love him for it.
Why does he sometimes side with DDD? Why does he sometimes side with Kirby? And why does he sometimes just side with himself? In a series as simple as Kirby, we may never get these answers, but it's the fact that these questions exist that makes Meta Knight such a fascinating character to me. He may have remained stagnant for the past decade, but I believe there's still so much more to explore with a character like Meta Knight, and I'm hoping that future games give him the role and respect that he truly deserves.
But yeah, dudes, let me know your theories about Meta Knight. I like to read the comments whenever it comes to these lore things, because I'm here to learn everything, as much as I can at least, about all the series that we cover. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me. Thank you guys so much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.